Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So a few things before we start. This video is gonna be pretty long, and I'm sure I'm not gonna cover everything that's happened in the past year or so. So sit back, grab some popcorn, play a video game, put it in the background, whatever you want to do, and let's get started. So the AAA industry is in a bad spot right now, and I feel like it will eventually crash and burn if things keep going the way they are right now. Before we start, let's go over a little of background history of my beginning. So I've been playing video games as long as I can remember, but I never really got into it until I got my first PS3. Anything before that was like recreational gaming with friends and stuff here and there, maybe like an hour a day or an hour every other day, something like that. But I didn't really get into it until I got my first PS3, and then it became a full-blown hobby. So 8 years ago, when I got my first PS3 and when Call of Duty Black Ops 1 first came out, was when I really got into it. And back then, gaming was pretty simple. It was stable. You know, it was popular, but it wasn't as popular as it is right now. And as time moved on, games became better, but at the same time, certain things started happening. Certain practices became more popular. Most common ones that we know are DLC and microtransactions. And at first, I didn't really care about this because I didn't really have the money to buy this kind of stuff. Like, my parents would buy my video games, but after I was able to buy my own stuff, I was able to see what kind of bad practices were coming in. It didn't really open my eyes until I bought Destiny 1, where there was just such a lack of content in the beginning, and there was so much DLC being announced. At the end of the game cycle, I ended up paying at least $120, maybe more, where if I waited at least a little bit, I could have paid $60 less for the whole thing. And that just got me, that opened my eyes to things like microtransactions and DLCs. And then before that too, there was Advanced Warfare. I don't know if you guys remember that, but this was the first Call of Duty, I believe, that heavily got into microtransactions, because before that we had Ghost, and Ghost, all they had was camos, and I don't know, it's just pretty much camos, I believe. And Black Ops 2 had camos too. It's just a bunch of camo packs, which they weren't like heavily priced either. They were like maybe like $2 for like a pack of camos for all your guns, any type. But then Advanced Warfare came out, and this is where they started coming out with loot boxes. And I don't know if you remember, but in Advanced Warfare, they had loot boxes that had variants of guns, and some of these variants actually were better than the original, and they were so OP that some people would even spend like hundreds, thousands of dollars trying to get those gun variants just so they could be better at the game. A little side note here before we move on into the deeper end. Do you guys remember demos? I mean, I used to play demos back in the PS3 and early PS4 times in order to decide from my experience of the demo if I wanted to buy the game or not. But nowadays, in order to play a demo or betas, if they want to call it that, you have to pre-order the game in order to play the beta or demo. And sometimes it's just not worth it because there's no guarantee that the beta or demo would be good, and at that point you already wasted your money, and sometimes some of these companies don't offer a refund, and it's just a waste of time. Now betas replace demos, and you hardly see demos now, and they're used as an early trial nowadays. Sometimes these betas come in like 1 week or 2 weeks before the release date of the game, and that's just not enough time to fix the problems that the demo or beta has. Well, anyway, moving on to my original point. Gaming right now, it hasn't gotten any better. It hasn't gotten any better since, I don't know, Destiny 1. I can't pinpoint the exact time it turned this way, and I can't tell you who started it, but I believe it started after Black Ops 3. That's just my opinion. But there's also later in 2016, after the whole SJW and Trump fiasco, I bet you'll remember that, the gaming community became a target, where many creators were called discriminatory against other people / races, and some companies even gave into their demands, and in the process they lost some other hardcore fan bases. And another thing that started to come into light after the whole Konami controversy, I guess you remember that, it's been a while. So what Konami did is they kind of left out Kojima out of his own game, and they had like a lot of things where they started treating their employees really bad. And many other people after that started coming out and started to speak up against these bad practices in the companies. Not only Konami, but also Activision, Blizzard, blah blah blah, etc., etc. And these companies started suffering for it because people got wind of it and they started losing customers little by little. Also, another reason gaming is losing is because of the hard monetization and lack of content of some of these games. The most active example is EA and Battlefront, where they didn't listen to the community and canceled an open world Star Wars game that everybody wanted, and instead released Battlefront, which nobody liked, which had lack of content, and it was bad. Okay, I don't even want to think about it, but they also closed Visceral Games down. If you don't know who Visceral Games is, they were the creators of Dead Space, one of the most legendary gaming franchises out there. And they also had their Battlefield 5 controversy and pushing their political agenda, trying to cater to the minority of the gaming community, those people that don't play their games. And instead they pushed away the people that actually play their games, their actual fans, by saying accept it or don't buy the game. With that, quote, EA dug an even deeper hole for themselves. They were already deep in stuff, and they're still the most hated company out there in terms of video games. Then later on, Blizzard came out with the Diablo Immortal fiasco. Remember that? The whole "do you guys not have phones" meme. Pretty funny meme. Forgetting that their core fan base is from the PC, and instead they decided to go mobile for some reason out of nowhere. Then after that came Fallout 76 and the broken state that it released in, and the way that Bethesda handled the situation and continues to handle this situation makes the game look like just a quick cash grab. Then a new Alien Isolation was announced for the mobile phone. This was actually pretty recent. They call it Blackout. They announced it at a bad time because we were still getting over the Diablo Immortal and the Fallout 76 stuff. And people wanted a sequel to Alien Isolation, but they didn't want it on a mobile phone. They wanted it on a big platform like PC, PS4, Xbox 360, maybe Nintendo Switch. And who can forget Activision and their decision to throw away single player for Black Ops 4? And also their scummy practices to heavily monetize the game. Like the battle pass taking up a lot of your time that people don't even have nowadays, where instead you could buy the whole battle pass for $200. Like, really, $200 for a battle pass? Ridiculous, man. Due to all these practices, all the companies above that I just mentioned started to lose not only their hardcore fan base, but their share value started to go down. Plus, on top of all that, CEOs and employees alike started abandoning their ships. They started leaving their own companies. And this isn't like, oh, I've been here a long time and it's retirement time. No, this is, okay, I'm the new CEO, and like 2 weeks later, they leave. And this really hinted into something internal going on in these companies. Maybe people aren't treating their people right, or they know they're going down. Now here we are in 2019, and companies are losing their money. Some are leaving their partnerships, and others don't even care. Now, one or two things I believe will happen in the following years. Number one, some of these companies will try and apologize to their actual fan base and try to make things better, and it will take some time for us to kind of like forgive them, but it can be done. Number two, these companies will be shunned by everybody, and other companies like indie companies, CD Projekt Red and Kojima himself, will have to be there and save us from the crash. Either way, those things will not be forgotten anytime soon. Now it's just up to the underdogs to set an example for the future. On a personal note, CD Projekt Red, I'm rooting for you, man. After I played Witcher 3, you turned me into a dedicated customer, and I will be buying your games from now on. I'm excited for Cyberpunk 2077. It looks amazing. I'm also looking forward to what Kojima can come up with in the next years, in the upcoming years. And wrapping up here, every fan base has its problems, but if we speak up and let companies know our stance by speaking with our wallets and not giving in to their scummy practices, we will prosper. Well, anyways, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a good one.